Okay, this is a follow-up video to the Klim Krios Pro unboxing I did a short while ago. Actually no, it's been almost 3 years. I think in that original video I said I'd do a follow-up in 6 months, but yeah, here we are. But a couple of things have happened since then. So one, I've been using this helmet very regularly for the last almost 3 years. I've covered 24,000 kilometers in that time wearing this. During that mileage, I've done everything from commuting to touring to a little bit of light off-roading, etc. So I've used it fairly extensively as it was designed for. What else has happened? The original video stated the price was €700. It was back then. It is now, I looked this up recently, it has now gone up to 750/800 euro, depending where you are. So the question is, how have I got on with it? And do I think it's worth the price? And would I buy another one? So let's deep dive into what I like, what I don't like about the helmet, and hopefully this will help you make a decision if you want to purchase one of these, because let's be honest, they are a lot of money. This will be quite a quick video, really. We're just going to fly through a few things. If you want more detail about the helmet and the features and etc., I'll put a link up here or here somewhere. There'll be a link even in the description below to the initial unboxing and review video, so you can check that out. If you've not seen it, probably worth going having a look at that first before we dive into this. So what do I like about the helmet? One, the weight. It is only 1,300 grams. It is fully carbon fiber, and that makes a massive difference, especially when you have like days when you're 8, 9, 10 hours in the saddle and you're rarely stopping, rarely pulling off. You might pull off once when you're getting a bite to eat or something. The rest of the time it's just go, go, go. The lack of fatigue from the helmet being so light is brilliant, and I absolutely love it. And to be honest, I'm kind of spoiled now. I really don't want to buy a heavier helmet if I was to ever replace this, because I really do enjoy how light this feels and how just good it feels to wear on a day-to-day basis. There are no like hot spots on my head. Sometimes helmet shells can fit people kind of weirdly, and you'll get like pressure on your forehead or on your temples or something. Like, unfortunately, that just means either the sizing is wrong or the shell doesn't suit your head. So this is, I believe, an intermediate oval shape, and there are two shell sizes, one for extra small, small, medium, and then the other is large, XL and XXL. So then what makes up the difference is just the internal padding in the helmet. The only time I've ever felt pressure was on my temple right here, and I actually found I just set the helmet wrong when I pulled it down, so a quick pull and adjustment and that pressure came straight off, and it was back to being normal. So that was perfect. So yeah, all day comfort, the lightweight really does come into it. Next, the transition visor. This is brilliant. It is a brilliant feature to have. It helps make it, justify the price of the helmet. Not having to carry a spare visor, knowing that if I'm out all day and it's going to turn to night, I can just keep going. I don't have to stop for even those few minutes it's going to take to change the visor over. It's just brilliant. If you're not aware, the transition visor reacts to UV light, and it will tint in sunlight or natural light. And then when there's no light, like nighttime, it just stays clear, as you can see here. So there's no natural light in here, just artificial light, and the visor is fully clear. Speaking about the visor replacement process, I know it's supposed to be a no tool job. There's a thumb screw here and two locking levers here that you're supposed to be able to flick down. Yeah, my experience has not been that. These get extremely tight and hard to move. And I take my helmet apart and, make sure it's all greased up and siliconed, etc. Everything is looked after, and still this is quite a hard process. I would not want to be doing this by the side of the road. But luckily, with the transitions visor, that's not required. So the only time this actually comes apart is when I'm cleaning it, like I was 10 minutes ago before I decided to shoot this video. So yeah, transitions visor, brilliant. Two downsides to the transitions visor. One, when you have the visor in the up position, the holes in the peak let some light through when you're outside. And then when you pull your helmet on and go to ride away again, you get spotting on the visor. Now, the first time this happened, I genuinely thought I was having a stroke or an aneurysm. I had no idea what was going on, why my vision suddenly went so blurry. Um, but thankfully, I quickly realized, no, it's just spotting on the visor. And to be honest, the way I've worked around it, if I'm stopped and I have the helmet off, I always make sure to lower the visor for a couple of minutes as I'm getting my jacket on and getting ready to roll. And that way it avoids that spotting completely. So not even really an issue anymore. The second thing the second kind of minus I want to say about the Transitions visor, it does tint quite dark, but not dark enough. So, you know, on my RX-7, my RI, I have like a dark tint visor. On my other RI, I have the flip down tint. Both my helmets with dedicated tinted visors are darker than this helmet when it's fully transitioned. It wouldn't be such a problem in direct sunlight, except, and now we kind of get into some of the stuff that I don't like about the helmet. The peak is not long enough, or it doesn't come down low enough. So this is currently set in its lowest position. It has two positions. It has lowered and then a little bit higher. And to be honest, I find myself having to tilt my head forward to like an unnatural angle. Like I basically have my chin on my chest, trying to avoid the sunlight from kind of blinding me, and then looking up between the top of my vision and the top of the visor. So yeah, if there was to be a revision of this helmet, I would say allow an additional position where the visor peak sits lower, or maybe extend it slightly. That would be my recommendation to Klim. What else? Look, some people have asked me about the helmet at speed on the motorway. Yeah, look, it gets buffeted. It's an adventure helmet. It's going to happen. There's very little they can do. They have channels for the air to come through, so it's not as bad. But if you are seriously motoring, you can feel the helmet being pulled. Now, Klim's answer to this is, you know, you can remove this peak. This peak is removable. You can run the helmet without it. But again, you're into this fiddly system of unbolting this, putting a blanking plate both sides to replace this. And to be honest, I'm not 100%. They might still be in the box that this came in, but I don't think I've seen them since I unboxed it. I am not the kind of guy to be able to carry those around and not lose them, and then be swapping the peak on and off. It doesn't work for me. So I just put up with it. So if you are going to be doing a lot of motorway riding at motorway speeds and maybe a little bit above, be aware, like any adventure helmet, you are going to get buffering if you leave the peak on. Another thing I really do like is this Fidlock quick release system. So if you don't know, this is a magnetic buckle system where you just literally have to introduce the buckle somewhere in the region of the other side of the strap, and it will snap into place. I was a little concerned about this when I first took it out of the box. Thought, how reliable is this going to be? But it has never failed, ever. Pulling out of it, you know, the best thing I like about it is if I have my winter gloves on and it's the depths of winter and I've just pulled the helmet on, got my gloves on, all that flapping around, which takes longer because your gear is bigger in winter, and then you forget the strap. All you do is grab this, throw it over in the general area, and then just snap straight into place, and it's secure and it's not going anywhere. There was people who were worried about it, but like my experience, again, it's solid. And I think it's a great system. I'm not sure why it's not on more. I understand people's love for the double D ring and you can snitch it up and stuff, but this has been brilliant. I don't forget to do up my helmet often, but those times I do, it's always at the end of when I've been flapping around. I'm probably the last one getting ready to go. All my mates are annoyed at me going, come on, Ted, we've got to go. And I'm like, yeah. And I get on and I reach up, oh no. And then, but with the Klim, just, oops, and it's done. Brilliant system, absolutely brilliant. Padding and comfort is fine. They made a big kind of deal about the coiroid lining in this for airflow and channel, but that brings me on to something that, you know, I'm not too impressed about for the helmet, and that is the ventilation of this helmet. So, and the reason I'm not impressed is you have two vents. You have the front vent on the chin and the top vent on the brow, and they literally have two positions. One is closed, the other is open. Closed, open, no adjustment. This brow vent, closed, open, and that's it. There is no kind of finite way to adjust it. It's all or nothing. And even in the open position on the brow, I feel it doesn't pull in enough air. I know it's an off-road inspired helmet, and there's supposed to be all these channels in the helmet that will help air circulate and move around better. But when I'm off-roading, and I'm not talking like heavy off-roading stuff, I'm talking like light fire trail stuff, it does get very warm very quickly. Not so much a problem when I'm just commuting or on a tour, or or a Sunday spin, whatever. But yeah, just be aware, if you're buying the helmet and you do a lot of off-road riding, I find the ventilation a bit lacking. I really think when you're spending almost €1,000 on a helmet, you should have choice. You should be able to open the vents, one, two, three, a couple of spaces. Like again, I hate comparing it to my RI race helmet, but it's a good comparison where there's adjustability. There's multiple vents. You can open 1, 2, 3, 4 vents on the RI. If you're not getting enough air, you have options there. So again, for the price you're paying, the ventilation could be better. So if there's a Mark II of this, I'd like to see that addressed. The one point I noticed, the rear spoiler has these exit vents which look quite cool and large, and there's a mesh wire here. But if you actually get a torch and you look in, you find out that the exit vents are actually quite small. So again, I don't know if that's something that is affecting the airflow, that it's not getting pulled out fast enough and it's not moving the air through the helmet enough. But yeah, just be aware if you're buying it and intend to do a lot of off-road riding. Talking about the visor again for a second, the point of view, the aperture of the visor, I don't know what other way to describe it, but the field of view for the visor, phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. Massive, wide expanse. You don't see, well, I don't see left and right of the helmet. It's all clear when you pull it on. And then you put on a pin lock, and the pin lock itself it needs to be bigger. It needs to be a lot bigger, because when you fit the pin lock, you lose a lot of that field of view. Not a lot, enough to annoy me. Enough that it shrinks down that field of view, and you're thinking, okay, this could have been better. I'm not sure if this is an off-the-shelf pin lock that comes with it, which is included in it, by the way. You get one when you buy the helmet. It's in the box. But yeah, the pin lock itself needs to be bigger and go closer to the edge. Like, there's a lot of wasted space on between the visor and the pin lock here that could have, a bigger pin lock would address that. It wouldn't interfere with your view as much. It's not a big deal. It's just an annoying feature when you pull on the helmet for the first time. You go, wow, this is amazing. Like, I can see everything. And then you put the pin lock in. And don't get me wrong, pin locks are a fantastic system. I would not have a helmet without a pin lock, because it just solves that problem of fogging up, and they are so reliable. But I think if you're going for a Mark II, go bigger. Get a custom pin lock made for it. Make it bigger, make it fit the entire lens as much as possible. I realize you can't go edge to edge because there's a seal here, etc. But you had definitely left a lot of wasted space on the table here. So that should definitely be addressed. One question I get asked an awful lot is from people who actually own the helmet: have I ever experienced water getting in behind the visor? And my answer is no. And I was reading up on this. The recommendation from Klim is if water is getting in behind the seal, there is an adjustment on the visor here you can do, and if it is tightened up and if it is sealing properly, like if I was in a situation where I'd spent €700 on the helmet and water was still getting in, even after adjusting and following all the guides, etc., I would be going back to the shop. I'm not going to lie. That is not going to cut it. But my experience has been bulletproof. And actually, what I really like about the mechanism for this visor, it's really light to touch, but it is very, once it's up, once it snicks into its stages of openness or closed, it stays there. So if that's half open and I'm going down the road, it is going to stay there. Even if it's getting wind, buffeted, etc., it is going to stay half open until I move it. But when it is fully open, and here's something I really like about it, the mechanism isn't stiff enough that it's going to prevent the visor from closing. So if I flick my head forward very lightly, like not even lightly, if I flick my head forward, the visor will snap shut. It will go from fully open to snap shut pretty much instantly. And that is very handy when you are in situations where You don't want to take your hands off the bars, like if you're off-roading and you need control, or you're commuting or whatever, you're riding along, and you just want to make sure you have, full control of the bike, but you might be building speed, and it might be coming a bit much, too much wind in your eyes. A quick flick of the head and the visor will snap shut, and it will snap shut solidly. So that's really good. Okay, so with all those pluses and minuses discussed, we come to the point of this video. Like, would I still recommend buying a Klim Krios Pro? I realize I'm calling it Klim or Climb as I go through the video, so that's just my scrambled brain. Look, there's no doubt it is a lot of money for a helmet. It really is the top of the segment. And despite all these little annoyances about like the pin lock, the ventilation, etc., if someone was to ask me, like, do you think I should buy one? My answer would be yes. Go into the shop, put it on your head. If it fits you and you have the funds to pay for it, go for it. The positives, in my view, far outweigh the negatives. That lightweight, the transitions visor, the fid lock, the quality as well. The build quality is very good. The paint on this has stood up to the last 3 years brilliantly. I look after my helmets. I make sure I try not to drop them, etc. I've never dropped this. I've caught it on like silly things like the door of the shed going out, because it makes me that little bit taller wearing it, and it has stood up very well. I have no complaints about the build quality of it. I think it is a phenomenal helmet. The lightness, the comfort just absolutely sells it for me. So if I was to go out and buy another adventure style helmet tomorrow, I would be going for another one of these. Although that said, I would like to see a Mark II release. This has been out now for, I think, 4 years. And like all the recommendations I've talked about in this video, it's a great helmet. It could be made a little bit better in a number of ways that could make it an even better helmet and take it to the next level. So Klim, whatever you call yourselves, if you're listening and you want me to test a Mark II, I'm happy to do so. This video, by the way, not sponsored. I'm not being paid to say this. This is my honest opinion. The last thing I want is someone going out, buying a lid on my recommendation, coming back saying, hey, I bought this, I spent a lot of money, and it's a piece of crap. So what I'm saying, the feedback I'm giving you, this is my honest experience of the helmet. And yeah, I do think it's worth the money, even at 750, 800 euro helmet, whatever they are retailing for at the moment, especially if you're someone who does a lot of mileage or spends a lot of time on the bike or with your head in a helmet. Like, I've done over 24,000 kilometers in the last 3 years with this, and never had an issue. Nothing's ever come loose, bar those little annoyances about the tint could be better, the airflow could be better, etc. Really do not detract from what is a very, very good helmet, and I've no qualms in recommending this to anyone who's looking for an adventure style lid. I don't think there's anything else really to say at this point. I hope I've covered all the bases. If I've missed anything, or if you've any questions, please do not hesitate to throw them down in the comments below. I try to get back to comments as quick as possible, and I do try to answer every comment or question I get. If there's anything you're wondering about or anything I've failed to address in this video, please do reach out to me. Ping me if you want to ping me a DM on Instagram, or even in the comments here on YouTube. Please, by all means, fire away. Outside of that, though, thanks very much for watching. If you like what we do, like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Helps me get the motivation to make more videos and more content like this. And hopefully it's helped some of you today make a decision if this, the Krios Pro, is the right choice for you or not. Okay, with that said, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.